I had someone mention to me recently that this month has been a hell of a year. And that is definitely true. This year has felt like a decade. This month has felt like a year. I will see you on the other side. Hello and welcome to episode, I think, 76 of Gary Knits, Gary Rides, a Craftivism podcast at the intersection of making things and doing good. My name is Gary. I am a knitter and a crocheter and a sometimes designer. And every so often, I come to this corner of YouTube to let you know what I've been working on and to share with you some ideas on how we can all take our love of crafting and do a little bit of good in the world with it. I hope you're doing well. It has been more than a minute. I think it's been 3 weeks since I've been saying, oh, I need to sit down and film an episode of the podcast. There has just been a lot going on in the world. There's been a lot going on in my life. And we're going to talk a little bit about that towards the end because I don't want to get bogged down in all of that up front. I hope everyone's doing well. You can find me for the time being, and we'll talk about that as well, on social media at Gary Knits, Gary Rides on Instagram, and Gary Knits, Gary Rides on Bluesky. No, just Gary Knits on Bluesky, sorry. And then over on Ravelry as Gary Knits and Rides. Um, it is the 1st of May, so happy May Day to all of those who are celebrating this week. But yeah, April just completely flew by and got away from me, and I apologize for not jumping on here and recording anything. I have a few things to show. Unfortunately, the knitting hasn't been center stage these last few weeks. As I said, there's a lot going on. One fun thing that I did want to mention in terms of sort of life stuff is I got to go on my very first knitting retreat this last weekend. I mentioned, I think, over the last few months that I found and then joined and have been participating in a local men's knitting group here in the LA area. So if you're in the LA area and are a guy who knits, specifically a queer guy who knits, there is a group called LA Fiber Dudes. It's a really, really wonderful group of guys that meet once a week for knitting, and they're just starting to kind of expand this summer. They're going to have a lot of other kind of social activities, but they do retreats twice a year. This is the first time I've ever that's the first one they've done since I've been a part of the group, and it worked out timing wise that I could do it. And so 9 of us went up into the mountains, and they had the organizers did a fantastic job of organizing it, founding a really great house where we could all hang out and knit and play games and watch movies and cook dinners, and just really got to hang out together and for me get to know a bunch of these guys a bit better. So it was a really fantastic experience. One of the guys, each time they do one of these retreats, they try to have someone who teaches a little class, a little seminar on something. It doesn't have to be necessarily fiber related. I think the one before someone like did a focaccia making class, but one of the guys in the group is a master at spinning, at least from what I've seen. I don't know if there's a special designation of master spinner, but he knows what he's doing. He also raises alpacas, and a bunch of the guys went up there a couple weekends ago because it was time to shear the alpacas, and so they got to participate in that. Anyway, this gentleman spent several hours with us over the weekend. For anyone who wanted to participate, teaching us all how to spin using a drop spindle. He had a bunch of fleeces that he had dyed. He also dyes wool, and showed us lots of great stuff on different types of fiber and how they act, and then kind of walked us through the basics of using a drop spindle to spin. I was terrible at it. and nothing to do with his teaching, because many of the people picked it up who had never done it before. Some of them had done it before, so they picked it up much quicker. But yeah, I really struggled with it, and after a couple of hours, I decided that it's probably not something for me, which is just as well, because the last thing I need to do is to try to bring one more fiber related hobby into this house. So it was still a lot of fun, and I'm glad I tried it, and I'm glad that I'm not going to be out in the market buying fiber and spinning wheels and all that stuff anytime in the future. But it was a great experience. I wasn't sure what to expect, or whether I would really enjoy a retreat, but I had a great time with, and it's a great group of guys. So if you're in the LA area, check out LA Fiber Dudes. We'd love to have you come to one of our weekly meetings and maybe join us on a future retreat. So they'll do another one, I guess, sometime over the summer. So I'm looking forward to, hopefully, fingers crossed, be around to participate in that. Before we get to Craftivism, and there is something I want to talk about there, there is a prize to give away. It has been a long time sitting out there, but it's across the room, and I'm not going to jump up and get it, but it is a skein of Always Be Kind's Otter Pop Disco sock yarn, a sock set with its stellina base that was part of the Stitch Out Loud collection that I curated a couple years ago now. And the winner of that is... So Marion, if you see this, please reach out to me. The email is going to be in the show notes, along with everything else I mentioned. And here is a QR code. If you are not watching this on your mobile device, and you want to scan that, it will take you right to the Google Doc that has a listing of everything that I will talk about today, and includes the email address where you can get a hold of me, Marion, if you are able to, and can give me the information on where to send the prize. So congratulations. There is not going to be another prize for the time being, and because we've kind of run through the prize pile. So congrats to all the winners of the last couple months. In terms of Craftivism, I wanted to mention something that starts tomorrow. So I'm filming this, I said, on May 1st. That's the Friday. On Saturday, May 2nd, and I think it runs until the 20th. Audie Maven, who is at Audie Maven on Instagram, has a separate account that's at, and I'll put this right down here. Also, it'll all be linked down below in the show notes, as Audie's D-Stash for Home. And much like we know we love a D-Stash around here, we love a D-Stash that raises money for good causes. Audie, who is a disabled knitter and has been suffering for many years with very severe migraines that has limited her ability to work and to work outside the home. She unfortunately is losing her access to housing later this fall, and so she's been this spring. A friend of hers started a GoFundMe. I will link to that in the show notes as well. But she has been planning this D-Stash fundraiser as another way for her to try to raise some funds to secure more stable housing for herself and for her cats. I think she is primarily looking to try to get into some sort of RV situation with a spot where she can park it. But that seems to be the direction she has headed in. But she is starting this D-Stash on tomorrow, on Saturday. I think it's, like I said, I think it's going to run through the 20th. It's all going to be run through that account, Audie's D-Stash for the number home. And so go over and check out all the yarn she's been kind of teasing it, and it looks like she has some really amazing stuff. So go support a fellow knitter in need. You can get some great yarn at a great price and help her to secure her future for her and for her pets. And I think that is basically it. I will, like I said, that's all going to be linked down below. I will also link to the specific post where she walks through how to do the bidding. It's going to run. It seemed like it's going to be not an auction like we used to do for D-Stash for Good over on Instagram. It's going to be more of a traditional D-Stash where she's established a price. You just kind of go in and say sold, and then she then you guys coordinate the payment that way. So anyway, go check it out. I'm hoping that she can raise a lot of money and get a long way towards her goal, and you know, feeling like there is a secure future for her and her cats before they lose access to their housing. So that is it on the Craftivism side. Let's talk about some knitting. I said up front that knitting has not been center stage. Knitting or crocheting or anything crafting related has been center stage. What I've worked on has been a lot of like little projects that I've kind of done a couple rows here, done a couple rows there, and did get some work done this weekend at the retreat. My big projects that I'll talk about in WIPs continue, but most of those are now to the size where I'm not carrying them around on planes and trains and automobiles, and that. So the things I have been working on have been pretty small. But I do have some FOs and some hose as well. So in terms of the FOs, I finished this little headband. So this is the Epicia headband. The designer's name is Maud C on Ravelry. She is at Binge Tricot on Instagram. I did this out of Chroma worsted. I believe the colorway is called Go-Go Boots. It is a very simple, stitch repeat, but I think it's cute. This is going to go to Knit the Rainbow next year when they open it, or later this year when they open up for their winter 26 distributions. And I'd said that I'd wanted to do something other than hats, because that's what I tend to always do for Knit the Rainbow. So I thought headbands would be fun. They're fast and very, very portable. This one is done with a provisional cast on, and then you graft the ends together. It's knit this way. And I thought it would be fun to try it in Chrome. Now, what I didn't think about was when you got to that, I thought, oh, that kind of ombre gradient effect will be really cool, and I think it looks fine there. But what I didn't realize or think about is that when you do the grafting, it's going to be a very distinct line there. But nevertheless, I think it's cute enough, and definitely would repeat the pattern. And I think headbands are a kind of fun addition to the arsenal of things to send up to Knit the Rainbow. I don't know what's next. I still have one hat in progress, which I'm not going to show, but it's one of the hats. It's one of the basic hats that I've made before, just knit stockinette round and round and round, and using some of the Trans Pride colorway from Joanne Big Twist. Is that I think that was the yarn they did a couple years. They did all the Pride colors, but they didn't call them Pride colors for whatever reason. But I have a bunch of them, so those are getting made up into hats and cowls and things for Knit the Rainbow and other charities. So the other things are actually, for me, long in process, are my fruit stripe gum socks. So this is a pattern by Leah Oakley, who is Agile Knit on Instagram. This is a really, just look how cool that looks. And it looks everyone's like, oh, is that Entrelock? And I'm like, no, it's not. It's a very, very simple stitch repeat. It's a paid pattern. I think it's $6, so I'm not going to give it away. But it is a very simple stitch pattern that just works fantastically well with self-striping, especially I think when they're evenly spaced stripes. The yarn here is Woolens and Nosh. This colorway is called Summer by the Lake Remix or Summer at the Lake Remix. Something about lakes and summers and remix. I think that the remix means that it was kind of a reformulation of a colorway that Michelle had done before, and then I used just the contrasting mini that she had put in the sock set. But I love how they turned out. I can't wait to wear them. Super fun. Would definitely knit this again. I will say the 9-inch circulars and doing a pattern that involves knitting stitches together and things like that can be a little tiring on the hand. So it wasn't as comfortable as even a regular 9-inch circular plain stockinette sock would be. But you know, taking breaks, it wasn't terrible. I probably couldn't knit for 5 hours straight on the pattern. Did my standard twisted rib cuff for an inch and a half, and then I did not follow the pattern on the heel. I think in the pattern it's a heel flap and gusset. I just did a fish lips kiss heel, and which I've done many times, but always on kind of plain stockinette socks. And Fish Lips Kiss Heel is a pattern by Patty Joy White, socks therapist on Ravelry. And one of the things is she has some special instructions when you're doing a pattern, and when you should stop, and that you should do a certain amount of just a plain stockinette before you actually start the heel process. And because I've always just knit them in plain stockinette, that doesn't really apply because you're already doing the stockinette. But I posted pictures of these, and she actually reached out to me and said, "Oh, they look great. I love the pattern. Here's a tip: if you have a pattern stock, it works better if you do this other thing." So I'm thinking about my next fully knit pair of socks, and I think I'm going to try something with a pattern in it, and follow the Fish Lips Kiss Heel pattern as it's written, because if you've seen it, it's a very robust pattern in terms of like a lot of instructions, and the way that she's designed it to make sure that it fits your foot well involves tracing your foot and doing some markings on where to start at the heel and all this stuff. So it's very robust, but I've never used the full pattern as written because I've always just been kind of inserting a heel into a standard plain vanilla sock. So I'm gonna try it next time and see if I notice a difference. I think I'm also pretty lucky in that most heels fit my foot pretty well. I've tried a bunch of different heels, and none of them are really terrible. So I think that I may not have some of the fit problems that other folks have. So anyway, fruit stripe gum socks and with a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I also used that same heel in my other full FO, which are a little pair of, I may have to change the blind here because I'm getting some weird shadows here. But just a pair of shorty socks, my first ever for myself. I keep saying these are the Rose City Roller patterns by Orange Knit, Mara Briner, but it really isn't, because her pattern has a heel flap and gusset, and this is again a Fish Lips Kiss heel. But otherwise it's the same, but it's basically just a foot. And I have been playing around with how much to do before I start the heels. I have another pair of shorties that I'm working on here, which are a little bit shorter than this. I think this which was just barely an inch and a quarter. I think an inch and a quarter is probably ideal, because I want them not to show, or as little as possible, but not to be so shallow here that it kind of gets caught and slides down into the heel. But I've worn these a couple times, and these seem to work pretty well. So I think maybe if I this length, which is like an inch and a quarter above the heel, or just a little bit more, is probably what I'm looking to do. But anyway, this yarn is the leftover from the Jaws 25th or 50th anniversary colorway that Ocean Fibers was selling at the Flock Fiber Festival last year in Seattle, and that I had bought. It is an MCN base, and I bought for my husband, who is obsessed with the movie Jaws, and I made him a pair of socks, this exact same contrast heel and toe, which is a woolberry colorway. And I had enough of the main color to do a little pair of shorties for myself. So what I'm finding for most patterns, most kind of a plain vanilla, I don't think it worked on the fruit stripe gum, because I think that pattern took more yarn than a standard vanilla sock would be. But for most skeins, most 400-ish yard skeins of fingering weight yarn, if I have contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs, I can get a full pair, and I like a pretty high leg, a long leg on my sock, but I can get a full pair and a pair of shorties for myself. So that's great. I'm trying to usually before I sort of got into this on this shorty kick, I would I'd just knit my thing and then I'd have 30, 40 grams of yarn left. It would go in a bag of like scrap sort of sock yarns, and I'm trying to get better about using as much of the yarn I can and ending up with teeny tiny little scraps of things, which if it's under I think 10 grams, then I turn it into a magic knot ball, aka, or not aka, but a la Gabs and Che over at Slip Slip Sis. And I'm going to try the same thing they do to use whatever I have at the end of the year, assuming I get it up to 500-ish grams, and pair it with a solid to make a throw, a granny stripe kind of throw. So I'm going to fix this window. I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back. I thought I was going to outrun the sun, but even I can't talk that fast. So the other, I don't have any other FOs, but I do have a hoe, and it is my other pair of shorties. These are using Laura at Always Be Kind Yarns, Inclusive Pride Flag, self-striping sock yarn, which I have a lot of. This I can't even. I think this was I made a pair of regular socks for a friend of a friend earlier this year, or my friend's partner earlier this year, and I had that left over, and then I was just digging around back here, and for some reason I have a whole sock tube of this also knit up, so I'm going to be able to get probably another pair and another pair of shorties out of that. But I just found some old green yarn for the contrast on the toe. And this one, I didn't knit quite as much, I think, above the heel, and so it's a little shorter. But yeah, I'm going to try to get the other one of these done here in the next couple of weeks, and then I'll have two pairs of socks for the summer. I'm loving the shorters because they're also really fast to knit. There's no ribbing, which is. It feels like the slowest part of knitting a pair of socks for me is, and maybe I need to just move on from the twisted rib because it looks great, but it's super slow. But the shorties are really fun, so I'm gonna hopefully finish that up here in the next couple of days. I think that is it in terms of FOs and half FOs. In terms of WIPs, I mentioned the big projects continue. The main one of those is the Theo blanket. Here, I'll pop a picture of the latest picture I have of it up here. These is one of two graduation blankets I am working on for graduates in our lives this year. It is now beginning of May. That means I am down to the wire. That one, I think I have two more stripes, and then the border, which is all the way around for, I think, 10 stripes. So that will be done. But it's big, and I can't carry it around much anywhere now. So it's really kind of in front of the TV, and I just really need to, when I'm sitting and watching TV, make sure I'm working on it and not getting sucked into whatever show we're watching at the moment. The other one, and I do have it here, is so that one is called the Theo blanket. Tony Lipsy, TL Yarn Crafts design that I modified to try to make it more rectangular than square. I think I've said before, I did not make my starting rectangle, which in her pattern is a starting square. I didn't make it extreme enough in terms of the rectangularness of it. And so as I built up the three, the two sides, I guess, around it, the whole thing ended up still a little more square than I was hoping, but it is what it is. It is not square, and I'm hoping with some blocking I can, even make it a little less square, but it's big, so it's going to cover whatever bed this kid puts it on. The other one that I'm working on is also a Tony Lipsy design, and this is called the Molly Waffle Blanket. It's just this really cute waffle stitch color block situation. This is the Theo blanket is done in worsted, and I'm using Plymouth Encore worsted tweed. This is chunky, and this is done in Lion Brand Hue and Me. And this is actually the same three colorways. I can't remember what they are, but they'll be listed down below, that are in the sample. But the recipient of this blanket liked those colors, and I said, well, we can absolutely replicate the sample. This is going really quickly. So I think a third of the way through. I think it has 3 repeats of this, and then maybe there's a border around it as well. But this one is going to be done in, could be done in a week's time, just because it moves so quickly on that big hook and the big yarn. But very, very squishy and cozy. This stitch really makes it. It's going to be a great cuddle blanket for the recipient. And so those are the 2 big projects, and those have been getting most of the attention here at the house. And then, as you saw, socks have been kind of the name of the gang. I did finally re-pick up my plain set and sleeve navy blue basic cardigan, going off of a pattern in the Amy Herzog's Ultimate Sweater book. I'm doing it in sport weight. It is Treehouse Knits Sport in her a Little Dream colorway, which is from a Stranger's Thing collection that she did a couple of years ago. But it's a really dark, inky blue black. Gonna get a ton of use out of it. Love it in terms of the colorway, and I hopefully like the weight of it. Although it's maybe it's just because it's warming up that it, all of a sudden it's feeling a little heavy. It is an incredibly boring knit, and this is nothing. I mean, it's a basic, so it's just stockinette. But I've let it languish just because I'm so bored with knitting it. But the good news is I am through all of not all. I'm through the first part of the sleeve shaping. So everything's knit flat. It's seamed and sewn together. So I'm doing the sleeves 2 at a time. Started the wrist, and you did a bunch of increases, and then you just have straight knitting for, I think it's about 18, until the piece is about 18.5 inches long. So I'm through with those first sets of increases, which I'm convinced I messed up because I thought I was keeping track of everything, and all of a sudden I did a stitch count, and it was basically oh wow, 1 more set of increases and you're done. And I thought I had 3 to go. So I may have these sort of Seinfeld-esque puffy sleeves at the bottom. I'm hoping not, but I'm not gonna to go back. It's just gonna have to be what it is. It's just for me, and probably just kind of a around the house sweater anyway, so no big deal. It's my first time ever doing a cardigan for myself, only my second garment for myself ever, and yeah, it's more an exercise in kind of learning the process of set in sleeves and how to put it all together and all of that. So I have a couple of work-related trips here in the next couple weeks, which means a couple of round-trip airplane trips. So I am going to try to make that my primary focus for the airplanes, because it's just stockinette for, I think I need to go probably 9.5 inches more of that before I get to do it shaping the shoulder cap on the sleeves. So that seems like pretty good, sitting, watching a movie on a plane, knitting. So I'm gonna take that. I do have that other rainbow shorty that I can be working on, and then I did start, because I thought I'd be finished with the cardigan sleeves by now, because I took them to the retreat thinking, I'm going to get a ton of work on that. But we were having so much fun doing other things that I did some knitting, and I was able to sit and work a lot on that rainbow shorty. But I was still doing the increases on the sweater sleeves, and there was too much else going on, and I was like, I'm going to mess this up even more than I have. So I didn't do as much on that as I hoped. So, but anticipating that I would have, I grabbed a sock tube and was getting that all set up to make a pair of socks, and thought I would take that as my primary travel knitting, because it's a great project, because you're just adding heels and toes and cuffs. But here is the first one. I've just got the cuff started, and I've already marked it for down here for my heel, and then I cut the tube in two to get the other sock set up. And so I have this one already set up to go on the other needles for the toe when I get down there. So this is Fiber Hustle yarn that I picked up also at Flock last year. This is called Match on Concrete, and this is Ancient Knit Picks. I want to show you this because this is probably some of the first yarn I ever bought that wasn't from a local knitting store in New York City 100 years ago. So they don't even make this yarn anymore for Knit Picks. I don't know. I guess it would be like maybe Stroll now. This is the label, Knit Picks Essentials Solid, in the pumpkin colorways, the 75-25, made in Peru. Traveling the world to bring you affordable knitting. So this is probably, I don't know, 2006 or 7 yarn. So I'll work on these on the, maybe take them on the plane, or maybe they will just be for, I have a little more work travel in June, and so maybe this will just become a June project. I always like to have one pre-knit tube kind of in the work so I can just grab it and go with it. And then we'll see where we go with the sock knitting. I've love wearing my socks, my knit socks, hand knit socks. I wear them almost every chance I can. Now that I have a couple of pair of shorties, that's going to be great to have those in the summertime. I did a little bit of Marie Kondoing, cleaning up some yarn stuff here the other day, and found a bunch of the leftover bits of tubes that I had already knit into socks. And like I said, I just kind of throw them in a bag of scraps, and I took a bunch of them out and weighed them, and I have a couple of those where I have enough to do another pair of shorties, and they're already knit up into tubes, so I should be able just to work directly from that, I think, and not unwind it and reknit the foot. I think I can figure out a way just to pop in the afterthought heel and toe. So we'll see how that goes. That'll be the first attempt at trying to get a pair of shorties out of the leftovers of the tube. They're all self-striping. It may require to not have exactly matchy. I may not have enough to make that happen. So they may just be kind of fraternal twins and rather than identical twins. So, but we'll see. I think I have enough to do 3 pairs. So hopefully I can get those done over the summer, and then, keep working on some other socks as well. Like I said, I want to try a patterned one and use the full Fish Lips Kiss heel pattern for that. The only other thing, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I have in the works. No, I just want to finish that. I just want to finish that cardigan so that I can move on. I have a summer tee that I would like to make for myself, and then I have a open front cardigan I want to work on for my mom and try to get that done before her birthday, which is the end of the summer. So those are the 2 things I want to kind of jump on as soon as I finish these blankets and that cardigan. And in fact, if the blankets gets done, I'm going to start them. I'm not going to sit around for the cardigan, because the cardigan, I can piece that together later if I'm not going to get any use out of it right now. So that may get kicked down the road even further. Poor project. It's just gotten abandoned, even though it's something I really, really wanted to do. So I think that's it in terms of acquisitions. Not a lot, because we're trying to destash around these parts. But as part of the LA Fiber Dudes retreat, every time they do a retreat, they do like a white elephant, stealing the gifts kind of thing. And so we did that, and out of that, I gave away some yarn, but I ended up getting some yarn back as well. But my price was, I got a great one, and I got two skeins of Madeline Tosh singles. This is a Tosh Merino Light, and This is 100% superwash, yeah, 100% superwash merino singles, and the colorways are calligraphy, which is this really kind of pale lavender, and this gold, which is called candlewick, and they go great together. I have a feeling this is going to be some sort of cowl, like a color work. I'm thinking like one of Casey Knits patterns, although I don't know if hers are mainly DK or sport, but I think I could probably tweak the pattern if needs be. But I think these colors work great together, and I'd love to do, like a two color colorway thing, and then reverse it and get two cowls out of it, which I could either keep one for myself and give one to Knit the Rainbow, or give them both to Knit the Rainbow, depending. So that was great. So thank you, Andrew, for being the person who brought the gift that I ended up stealing. It was really fun. We played that. We had another game the next night, which I won't get into, but I think it was called like Hat of Ducks, or Hatful of Ducks, or Ducks in a Hat, or something. It was really, really fun. Kind of a combination of Taboo and $25,000 pyramid. Well, that's Taboo, and Password and charades, but it was really cool. But I did actually acquire something over the last month. Michelle at Woolens and Nosh. Not that I need any Woolens and Nosh, but every time she does a shop update, and if there's a colorway that I love that I don't have already in the stash, I try to grab it. And so that is what happened this time. So I got a skein of Wes Anderson style, and a skein of Penwings. This one's really, really cute when it's up. It's stripes of varying widths, and it's just really a cute, kind of very retro. When I saw it, it kind of reminded me of like OP for some reason, but very cute. So socks in the future, but that's it. So I think I'm still in good shape for being net negative so far this year. And yeah, I just need to knit more projects to get rid of more yarn. So as I mentioned, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I should talk about. But as I mentioned, there is a lot going on. Nothing terrible. Just a lot more sort of like family stuff and more work stuff. I also just have some shifting priorities and things that I want to get done. I have mentioned in the past that trying to come up with craftivism ideas has been more challenging the less time that I am wanting to spend on social media, on Instagram in particular. That has not changed, and in fact, I think that in the next couple weeks, we're going to start with 6 months and see how that goes. Hiatus from social media, from specifically Instagram and Facebook. I got rid of, except for a Buy Nothing group locally here that has to use that. But I'm going to. I've already gotten rid of Facebook on the phone. I'm going to delete the Instagram app. I'm not going to delete my account just yet, although I may. Get rid of most of the content that's in there. I kind of purged it before, but I may just go through and purge again, and I'll post up something on there about, just letting folks know that I'm on a hiatus for the time being, however long that ends up happening. I'm going to hold on to Bluesky, so you may see a little bit of content there that, for whatever reason, has never become as sort of like omnipresent and as much of a time suck as the other places, nor are they affiliated with people that I think are trying to destroy democracy. So that is part of the trying to get the metaverse out of my life, or distance myself from it. That's certainly part of it. The other part of it is just the time suck that it can become, even with trying to put some limits on time of the day that I take a look at it. But you won't see me over there. I'm going to keep the email that's listed in the show notes up and running. But as a result of that, and just sort of wanting to re-look at things, maybe spend some more time doing some design work, I'm starting some other educational endeavors here probably in the next couple of months. So want to get back on the bike. There's just a lot of things, but that's a long way of saying, in addition to dropping off social media for at least the next 6 months, the same is going to be true here. So I am not planning to post another episode for at least the next 6 months. Never say never. That is something that I've learned in more in the last 3 or 4 weeks than any time I can remember in my life for a while. It's just that you just never know what's going to happen. So there may be some reason that all of a sudden I can't live without filming another episode, or can't live without being on Instagram, and so that could all change at the drop of the hat. But the plan for the time being is to take a break from everything for at least 6 months. I mean, that puts me through the summer, and I think we'll see how it goes. We'll see how things are at that point, and how busy I am, and whether I feel an urge to come back and do any more of this in the future. So all that being said, thank you for everyone who has, over the last, I don't even know how, 76 episodes, but it's 2 or 3 years, I think, who've tuned in to this. I hope you've enjoyed it. I enjoy spending time with you, and seeing comments and things like that. So that is something that's going to be an adjustment for me to try, to not have that. But like I said, I'm still here, and there's nothing terrible going on. It's just kind of need a break and want to kind of shift gears a little bit. So thank you for that. Thanks for just spending some time with me today. Drop a comment if you like down below. I'll still continue to look at them, and even though I'm getting rid of Instagram on the phone, maybe I'll figure out a week time once a week where I can do it on the computer and just see what's going on out there. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of each other, and try to find ways where you can take your love of crafting and do a little good in the world. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.